Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and once again, I didn't even have to leave the studio for this video. In our last one, I mentioned that I had been given 2 films produced by the Wicks Organ Company. The last one was just online. There's a link up there if you want to see it, if you missed it. There's also a link down in the description. That one was produced, we believe, in about 1958. This next one, we also don't have a specific year on. I've been told 66 to 68, somewhere in there. So the late 1960s. The company was very different in that short 10-year period. The organ reform movement had taken over. Most American builders were building neo-Baroque, neoclassical, very modern designed organs, and Wicks was no different. So this video is different, and also that we see a lot of the finished installations. We see the modern case designs, the exposed pipework that were part of that era. So we see a lot more of that, and they're really trying to show what a modern contemporary company they are. They also talk about the history of the company and its strength and reliability, as opposed to the mystique of the pipe organ that seemed to be floating through the last video. Once again, if you see somebody you know, leave a tag the time and leave a name down in the comments. A lot of you did that on the last video, and it helped us fill in a lot of blanks over who these people were. So thank you for doing that. Also, if you have similar material like this that's of historic nature, old media that you'd like to get online, we can help you with that. Just send us an email. My email is brent@organmedia.org. You can email me there anytime, and we'll see what we can work out. Last thing is we depend on supporters like you to keep these videos online. So go to organ.media and click on support if you'd like to help us continue to put things like this on YouTube. So now, from the late 1960s, this is the Pipes of Highland.
It is claimed that the first white settlers to locate in Highland came from Kentucky and North Carolina in 1804 to settle in the southeast part of what is now Helvetia Township. Prominent among these settlers was one Joseph Duncan with his wife and first child, born during the trip to Illinois. The land this early pioneer claimed still remains in the family. There are a lot of fascinating bits of history in Highland. Michael Deck is buried here. He was George Washington's groomsman and was with him at Valley Forge in Yorktown when Cornwallis surrendered. In Lindendale Park, this monument was erected to the memory of Heinrich Bossard, Swiss poet and immortal who lived and died here. Among other achievements, he composed the Swiss national anthem. It's strange, but you can actually feel this heritage in the cozy, friendly, shaded streets of this charming mid-American town. Predominantly German and Swiss, the population is heavily laced with craftsmen of every description. There are, for example, some housewives and their husbands today busily engaged in the repair of timepieces originally produced by a long-defunct Highland clockworks, repairable, incidentally, nowhere else in the world. Another such craftsman is Marvin Bleish. He is a voicer at the Wicks Organ Company at the north end of town. Marvin is truly an artist, certainly no less an artist than a fine orchestra conductor or a chorister. In an organ, as in a chorus, for example, each pipe, like each voice, must be adjusted or voiced so that each individual pipe may be played with any other pipe in the organ, regardless of pitch or rank, singly or in combination, and still maintain their individual and desirable tonal effect, so that each does not overpower, nor is overpowered itself by any other pipe or pipes in the total instrument. This feat is particularly difficult due to the fact that grave sounds normally travel further and have more fullness than acute ones. This art of voicing, like many other arts, which for their successful practice depend upon individual acquirements and natural gifts, cannot be learned with any certainty of good results from written descriptions or directions, however full and explicit they may be. It is not surprising, then, that Marvin's son, Ron, is a Wicks craftsman of a different kind altogether. There are several second and third generation craftsmen at Wicks, just as there are many who have spent their entire working lives there. Today, it would be virtually impossible to start a firm of this kind, which requires such a variety of unique trades. Just after the turn of the century, Reverend Ferdinand Stick, pastor of a small church near Highland, asked a parishioner to learn to play the church organ. The request set off a chain of events which resulted in a truly unique industry. The parishioner was John Wick. He and his brother were watchmakers at the time. Another brother, Adolph, was a cabinet maker. John Wick traveled back and forth to St. Louis in 1906 to take lessons as an organist. As he became more proficient, he decided he could build a better pipe organ than the one in use at his own parish church. After reading several books on the subject, the three brothers did just that. And this original organ is still in use at a little church in Lively Grove, Illinois. Today, the Wicks Organ Company is a fascinating combination of space-age technology and old-world craftsmanship. The manufacture of a pipe organ is a monumental undertaking, yet it remains a custom job from start to finish. It takes 130 people working at some 16 different skilled crafts, an average of 1 year to complete the job. A huge mill room utilizes every type of woodworking machinery. Thousands of feet of lumber are cut each week as experts select and match the best possible quality walnut, red oak, white oak, birch, maple, poplar, a special spruce all the way from Alaska, pine, fir, and cherry. You never see a knothole. In the cabinet shop, there are men who have been in the employ of Wicks since its infancy. Their creations enhance the interiors of some of the most beautiful cathedrals in the world. The electrical craft is responsible for probably the most unique feature of the Wicks organ: direct electric action. This system eliminates all mechanical and pneumatic parts in the pipe valve action, and thereby eliminates the major cause of maintenance expense. The valves are opened electrically, with no intervening moving parts. The simplicity of this system permits more freedom in arranging the pipes, and often takes considerably less space. Metalworking is a many-faceted trade at Wicks. Casting pipe metal, for example, takes a high degree of skill and experience. Besides casting, a variety of metals are shaped, cut, joined, and aged, to mention only a few of the operations. The machine shop designs and produces dozens of intricate metal parts. Special tools and dies are created for specialized items. The design department employs artists, architects, designers, and draftsmen to create the proper and desirable aesthetic effects. And in the only production line at Wicks, several small electrical and mechanical parts and contacts are assembled and tested. A highly sophisticated engineering department explores and tests modern scientific discoveries to determine how they might apply in producing an even better or more efficient product. The production of metal pipes from a tin-lead alloy is a slow, painstaking job, and one that requires great skill and patience. Yet the construction of the larger pipes of zinc although a seemingly similar task, is a totally different trade, requiring equivalent skill and patient care. Then, the voicing of the finished pipe, as previously described, is the star of the organ building trades. Staining and wood finishing require particular deftness because of the necessity of matching existing finishes and patinas. The same is true of spray painting and varnishing. These craftsmen must continually work with new products and methods. All wood surfaces, exposed or not, are provided with a protective finish. Tonal design requires a vast knowledge of music and sound, plus a highly sensitive ear. The final assembly and installation of so complex an instrument is a highly specialized art of its own. The same is true of servicing so intricate a machine. Wicks organs enjoy a national, even international reputation. It is a tribute to the people of Highland and their pride in fine workmanship. The organ has in its range of sounds the greatest compass of all musical instruments. The creation of each new organ at Wicks is much like a new birth. From the maternal side, that is, the edifice in which the king of instruments will ultimately live, comes its aesthetic design and part of its tonal appointment. From the other parent, the master who will play it, plus the creed or concept of the musical program he will employ, comes the remainder of the tonal structure. When the tonal director has decided upon a total design of the instrument, after an exhaustive study of the proposed site and the client himself, the design department records the design on paper. And then, through manufacture to the completed and installed product. From this single pipe and all its relatives and relations spring a galaxy of architectural designs and motifs to fit and enhance aesthetically and musically any existing or conceived structure. The graceful, vertical, and masculine nature of the Gothic mood. The simple, vigorous structural form and massive strength of Romanesque. The puritanical simplicity and warmth of colonial architecture. The austere symbolism of the more conservative forms of contemporary styling. Even the more radical departures into pure design. The people at Wicks believe the classical tonal approach to be the most desirable because this structure provides for the most comprehensive musical capability, including the clarity of tone necessary to permit the performance of polyphonic music. And the organ thus conceived is in truth the grandest, the most daring, the most magnificent of all instruments invented by human genius. It can express anything in response to a skilled touch. Surely it is, in some way, a pedestal on which the soul poises for a flight forth into space, essaying on her course to draw picture after picture in an endless series, to paint human life, to cross the infinite that separates heaven from earth. Its music is the one interpreter strong enough to bear up the prayers of humanity to heaven. Prayer in its all-powerful moods. prayers tinged by the melancholy of many different natures, blended with the infinite fancies of every creed. Yes, in the long vaulted aisles, those melodies inspired by the sense of things divine are blended with a grandeur unknown before, are charged with new glory and might. Out of the dim daylight and the deep silence broken by the chanting of the choir in response to the thunder of the organ, a veil is woven for God, and the brightness of his attributes shines through it.